Over the last several years, Kawhi Leonard has dealt with multiple different injuries. He hasn't had a healthy playoff series since 2021, and he even missed 45 games this season. Every time he's shown flashes of his old self, something's held him back. But right now, for the first time in forever, he actually looks fully healthy. In his final regular season game of the year, he played almost 48 minutes in an overtime win against the Warriors. It was a must-win game to avoid the play-in, and not only did he almost play the entire thing, but he looked incredible. He scored 33 points on 65% shooting while throwing out 7 assists and getting 3 steals. And at the time, the biggest game of the season, he showed out and gave us a truly vintage performance. Despite multiple injuries, multiple surgeries, and barely being able to catch a rhythm throughout the season, Kawhi is still somehow elite on both sides of the ball. That night against the Warriors wasn't just a fluke either. Although he only played 37 games during the regular season, he still had multiple other big-time performances. He had a 29-point 3-steal game against Dallas, a 33-point 4-steal game in a win over the Cavs, and even had a 31-point 4-steal and 2-block game against the Nets. And by the way, Kawhi shot over 60% in all 3 of those matchups. It took him a second to ramp up when he first returned, but was right back to where he was by the time the regular season ended. I mean, you gotta think, he didn't even make his debut this year until January 4th, and he was on a minutes restriction for those first several games. He only played about 25 games with no minutes restriction. And during that stretch, he averaged over 24 points, 6.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and 2 steals a game. And like always, to make it even better, he shot 51% from the field and an insane 44% from 3. Let me remind you, that is a 25-game stretch to end the regular season, coming from a dude that missed well over half the year. Just absolutely incredible stuff, and in that final night against Golden State, he sent a message that he was ready to make another deep playoff run. For the last 2 years, he's had to sit out and watch his team struggle in the playoffs without him. He was able to play a couple games in both years, but wasn't even close to healthy and missed more than he played. Which is why what we're seeing right now with Kawhi is so awesome. In the 3 playoff games against the Nuggets so far, he's looked extremely good. In the first matchup, he scored 22 points on 60% shooting and had 3 steals. His turnovers were up a bit more than usual, but it didn't feel like that really held his game back at all. It was extremely close the entire time. However, the Clippers ended up losing in overtime and were so close to stealing Game 1 on the road. Kawhi and the rest of the team really showed up and proved to everyone that they're a legit contender. But then that second game was one of the best playoff games we've seen from Kawhi in years. He finished with 39 points, 5 assists, 2 steals, and a block, all while shooting 79%. He was 15 for 19 total and made 11 of his 12 shots from within the 3-point line. It was a vintage Kawhi performance, and he reminded everybody how good he really is when he's actually healthy. He was cooking the whole Nuggets roster in the same fashion that he's been cooking teams for years, and was stepping up on both offense and defense. He had multiple big-time shots, and the Clippers needed every single one of them. For a guy that's almost 34 years old and has been through more injuries than you could possibly imagine, to be setting the tone on offense and defense shows how much he really cares. Plus, for him to even be playing at the level he's still playing at is just unbelievable. Almost stealing 2 wins on the road is all you can ask for, but then winning in blowout fashion in Game 3 is truly setting the tone. Literally, the entire Clippers team played great in their first home game. They were so close to having 4 different players with over 20 points. I mean, they had 6 different players score double digits. It also helps that the Clippers shot 48% from the field and a whopping 46% from 3. That's a lot better than the 27% the Nuggets shot from 3. Kawhi had 21 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists. And because they dominated for most of the game, he didn't have to use nearly as much energy as he did in the past 2. It's easily been one of the most fun to watch series so far, and they have a chance to come very close to sealing the deal with a win at home in Game 4. People question the way the Clippers have been handling Kawhi, and I get why. This is the same guy that couldn't even play in the Olympics over the summer because he wasn't fully healthy. We were robbed of seeing all the OGs winning the gold together. Their plan of saving him until the playoffs definitely somehow worked, but it wouldn't have even been close to possible without the rest of the team. Despite Kawhi missing over half the season, they still finished with 50 wins. James Harden was the leader of the team while Kawhi was off the court, and still to this day he has not missed the playoffs a single time throughout his entire career. Zubac has been playing all-star caliber basketball and has literally been one of the best centers in the whole NBA. And then there's Norman Powell, who's easily been one of my favorite players to watch this season. I've always been a big fan of Powell, but I did not see him taking such a massive step once they lost Paul George. He's shown he can be a great player many times during his career, but for him to be averaging career highs across the board at 31 years old is just awesome. Plus, guys like Batum, Bogdanovich, Chris Dunn, and Derrick Jones Jr. have all had their moments. They even added Ben Simmons to the roster as a depth piece. It's a really solid team, and they did exactly what they needed to do, holding it down until Kawhi got back. Now, we just have to hope that he stays healthy throughout the remainder of their playoff run, regardless of how long it may be. I'm even seeing fans of rival teams hoping Kawhi can stay healthy. That's how much everyone wants him to play at a high level again. And that really says everything you need to know about him as a player. Kawhi has got to be one of the most liked players in NBA history. There are very few people on the planet that don't like him. He's the most ethical player in the NBA. In a league full of players that want to cheat the game or foul bait or anything like that, Kawhi does the complete opposite. Plus, he's also just a very unique player to watch. From the animal that he is on defense to having one of the most beautiful mid-range shots of all time is hard to beat, especially once you mix in all the fakes and footwork. He's one of the best players we've ever seen, he just hasn't been able to stay consistently healthy during his career. But no matter what the injury is, he will somehow always come back and pick up right where he left off. Kawhi doesn't have to keep playing. He's already won 2 championships and has 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards. He could call it a career, but chooses not to because that's how much he wants it. And because of that, we're getting to see him play elite basketball in the playoffs to this day. But let me know what you think about this finally healthy version of Kawhi Leonard, and please leave a like on the video to support the channel. Also, subscribe if you're new for more basketball videos just like this one.